Hi, I'm George Pearson, and these are just a few examples from some of the training videos I have here on YouTube. Now, when you're working with the training, following along the training, if you want to get the materials I used in the training, just go to the description down below and click on the link that's at the top of the description, and this will take you to a page where you can download the materials. Please subscribe, click the like button, and of course always share on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the video. In the past, I've shown how you can add color to a white car. I've shown how you can take a black and white photograph of a car and turn that into a color image. I've shown how you can change the color. On that video, I used a bus instead of a car. Let's now take a look at changing the color of a black car. Now, the most important step on this, you can see that over here on my layers, most important step is creating of a layer mask, very careful layer mask. Once that's done, then it's fairly easy to come in and change the color. Here's just one of my color versions here, color versions. Here's another color version, red. Here's a blue colored version. Pretty easy to do that. The most important step, though, is to create a very careful layer mask. Now, the way you do that is you first make a selection clear around the whole car. Now, I took several minutes to do my selections. I'm not going to bore you watching me do a selection. So what I'll do instead is bring up my saved selection. So I'll load that selection, and there we go. There's the selection that I made. Now, I made that selection using my personal favorite tool, which is the polygonal lasso tool, and using the new selection option right there. And just taking however long it takes to carefully go around and make a very careful selection. Now, for this kind of selection, I'll normally zoom way in on the car. And just zoom in here. So I zoom in real tight like that and then make my selection zoomed in. The next thing I did once the selection was made, you can see it right there, is to remove from that selection parts that I don't want in the selection, such as this light up here. Let me just do this one piece just to show you that technique. So I'll go back over to the polygonal lasso tool and click on subtract. Now, the selection that I made, I had feathering in here set at 2 pixels. I normally will do 1 or 2 pixels just to kind of soften the edge up just a little bit. And when you do that, it makes for a much nicer edge on your selection. Now, carefully examine your area before you make that. Notice up here I have a nice line right along here, and then as I come around to the bottom here, you can see it right down here, there's a black gasket right along here. So I don't want to be up here on this, I want to be down here around that black gasket. Okay, so let's see how that's done. I'll just start over here in the corner. Now, with this tool, you click and then drag. You can see right there, you kind of drag the line out, and then you simply work up and find where your next point is. This is an easy tool to use, so I can come in here, I can find my point anywhere I want to this way. And then when I'm happy where that is, just click and it positions it down. It takes a little longer to use this tool than some other tools, but this tool will give you an absolutely perfect selection, which is why I tend to like to use this one. Again, it takes some patience, takes some time. I took quite a while to make my actual layer mask using this technique, but it's well worth, because once this part is done, all the hard work is done. Everything else is just playing around with some settings. Okay, so I'm just going to continue clear around and work around here. Now, at this point, I have that black gasket in there, so I'm going to come down to the edge of the middle here and come around the outside as opposed to being in against the headlight in there. So I'm a little further out on this side, and that will just help me get that gasket. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because if there's anything that's actually black in this image, like this rubber on this gasket, I want to make sure that that stays black and doesn't get changed when I change my color. That will help the color look more natural. Okay, so just come around, finish this off here, back to my starting point, and double click, and there we go. There is that selection. So I now have my two selections. Now I went through and did this process for all of the rest of those areas. Did the front grille, did the lower grille and the license plate frame. I did this little side grille and light. And then over on this side, I did this window in here. Now this is a different piece. This is black. I left that as black, so I just did the window in here. There's some little pieces right there. I did those. I did the handles for the door, and of course I did the windshield as well. And it's cleared down on the bottom down here is where I made my selection. So I did all of that. Now once that's done, you then can convert that over to a layer mask. Let me show you part of that technique. I'll just hide all of this stuff. Go down here to the first image, my background layer, make a copy of that, drag it up to your new layer button right there. There's the copy. Now when you have a selection, just click on this button right here, the add layer mask. It converts that selection to a layer mask. And you can see right there, there's that hole for that light. Now at this point you can come in and do more selection. You can actually build it while it's a layer mask as well. Let me just show you that little tip. Let's just do the windshield in here. I'll do this one fairly quickly. It won't take a whole lot of time on this. So we'll go to the windshield. It's pretty straightforward. Grab the lasso tool, set this at a new selection. Make sure that you're on the layer mask side. Notice that light blue outline. Make sure you're on this side and not over on that side. So you're on the layer mask itself. Okay, then it's just a matter of making the selection. Now again, notice over here I have kind of a black area here, which isn't the car paint. The car paint is outside there. There's your metal, and this is something else in here. So I made my selection just inside that edge like that. So it pays to take the time also to very carefully examine your car to make sure you find the right spots. And then we'll come in along the top of the windshield. Now when I made my actual layer mask selection, I took more time than this. I'm doing this very, very fast for this video. But I calmed down, relaxed, and got into my Zen mode, and then made a very, very careful selection. But you can go pretty quickly if you want to. The nice thing about working on the layer mask is you can always go back and fix it. Very easy to fix if you mess up. And it's right along the bottom down here. And I'll take that back to the beginning. There's the selection. Now if you're doing it on the layer mask like this, what you want to do is you want to paint black in here. The white hair area shows the car. The black area hides everything. So you want to paint this black to hide the windshield from the layer mask. So grab the brush tool. We're on black, hard edge, and then I'll just paint in here right along this edge. And you can't see it here because of that background there. I'm going to hide the background there, and you can then see it. There's my layer mask. Also notice the soft edge on that. That's my 2 pixel edge on that selection. So what I'll do is I'll come clear around the outside, right up against the edge of my selection, and I'm painting black onto the layer mask, and that's hiding that. So make sure I get that edge nicely done. There we go. And then it's just a matter of coming in and cleaning up the rest of this, just painting this in. Just like that. And then what this gives me then is a nice clean layer mask where I have just the car shown, just the car paint areas shown and nothing else. So that's my technique. That's the windshield. Okay, so that's how I did this. Let's just deselect that. Let's now move up one step here and let me back out a bit. There we go. This is the finished layer mask right here, using the same technique we just demonstrated. So the wheels are gone, that area is gone. If I zoom in here, you can see I took out those 2 little notches in there, took out the door handles. There they go, those are gone. And then on the front side, I'll just scroll down here. Emblem is gone, the front grille is gone, license plate frame and the lower grille are taken out. And then over here on the right side, This little side grill and the little light right there are all taken out. So all that's taken care of. And what we're left with then is just the car. And the reason why I'm doing it as a layer mask is that I can go back and I can fix that later on if I want to. I can always change that. Plus, by having the layer mask, I can apply the layer mask onto different kinds of layers, like my adjustment layers up here. Okay, so that's the technique. Let me bring back our background there. I'm going to hide that one. Actually, I'm going to delete this one there. This is our demo layer that we just did. We don't need that layer. Let's get that out of the way. There we go. And let me just finish that. That's the mask. There's the layer. Okay, so now the techniques, there's two techniques I want to show you here for doing the colorization. One is better for your darker colors and one's better for your lighter colors. Here's the darker color version. This is a red color. It's kind of a nice rich maroon color, nice deep colors in there. This one is done using a layer just as it is and then an adjustment layer above that. So we'll do that version first. So take your new layer. This is the car layer with the layer mask on it. Drag that up to the new layer button and it gives you a new layer. We can then hide that one that's just underneath. That's fine. So here's our new layer. Keep your background layer exposed or shown because that is all your background. That's your other cars, that's your ground. If I take that out, you can see that goes away. So it's your wheels, your windshield. That's all from the background layer. Okay, on this one we want to colorize this. Now to colorize a black car, you have to add color into it because there is no color to begin with. It's just black. There's a little bit of a bluish tint in here. That's just from the sky reflecting onto the black paint. So we'll do this with an adjustment layer right above this layer. So layer, new adjustment layer, hue saturation. This allows you to add color in. Now where it says use previous layer to create clipping mask, check that one. That then locks that layer into just this layer. So our adjustment is just going to be on that one layer. And here's our adjustment layer. Now we can change our color to anything that we want. So if I pull this along, it just changes the color. Now the nice thing about this technique is if you look in here, you can see some of these other colors in there. Those stay in there, which helps the effect. There's one more little thing we'll do on that to improve this. Let's just go clear up to the our reds in here. Now again, this works best with your darker colors, your richer tones. And it's not so good with your real bright colors. So we'll do the bright color stuff next. Because there's a pretty good red right in there. I think that's pretty nice. And we can adjust the values in here. I'll leave that at 0. I think we're okay on this one. So there's my red color. Now the colors in here are kind of weird because it changed those colors along with everything else. I want to fix that. And we'll do that by blending this layer down into our layer underneath. Or even onto this layer here if you want to. So let's do a blending mode on this one. And let's go up here to normal and come down here to soft light. And the soft light allows it to blend, allows this layer to blend with that layer below. So we have the black layer showing through our color layer. Once you've made your blend, you can then come back up here, double click on hue saturation, and you can now adjust your colors again to bring back in some more of your color. And then just modify if you want to. Okay, so it's kind of a nice dark, nice rich color in here. Looks very, very realistic. Again, this is the technique that's good for your darker colors like that. Okay, let's look at our second technique, which I use for stronger colors. So I'll come down here to our new layer, our original layer, actually our first layer with our layer mask. And now grab this, pull it up here to the new layer button, gives us a new layer right there. I'll pull this one above what we just did. That's those things. I'm going to change this, because of course I'll have this file available for you. So let's change this one to version 1 car, and then this is going to be, double click on that, and I'll call this one, that's number 1 hue saturation, and let's just get that 3 off the back. Didn't like the number at the front, so oh, you know, I need to unhide that. That will help, of course. Okay, that's our 1 hue saturation, and this is version 1 of the car. Let me see if I can get that to actually give me the number in there. There we go. Okay, so version 1. Let's hide that. This one is version 2. And there we go, version 2 car. On this one, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to actually colorize this layer, and then we'll adjust the colorization with a levels control. That's up here. So make sure you're on the car side and not the layer mask. Look for that light blue outline on the car side. Go up here to Enhance, come down to Adjust Color, and we're doing Hue Saturation again. And we're going to colorize the car. And when you colorize, what it does is it converts the image to a black and white image. In this case, the whole thing becomes black and white, but we're only seeing just the car paint part of it. So it makes it a black and white image, and then it adds color to that black and white image. And you can adjust your hue in here, just like that, all the different colors that you want. Let's do kind of a nice green, maybe. Here we go. And you can adjust your saturation. So here's your real bright car coming in here. It's kind of a nice gold color in there. I think we'll stick with kind of a medium green in here. You can adjust your lightness if you want to right there, but we'll do this lightness control this in just a moment. So find your color this way. You can see it's much brighter color than we had before. And now we want to adjust this so it's not looking quite so garish. We'll do that with a levels control. Now up here I have the levels control just available for anything underneath of it. That's because I had the 2 examples. If you're doing just the 1 color though, it's better off if you link this to this layer. So layer, new adjustment layer, levels right there, and clip that, and here's our levels. You see it's indented. There we go. What you want in here is you want to bring your blacks in just a little bit, your whites in just a little bit, and then move the middle control. This is your gray scale. Move it to the left. Notice what this does. This lightens up the dark midtones in here. On a real car, a real paint color, that's not going to be a real dark area. It's going to be a little bit lighter, so you want to lighten that up. And then it's kind of chromy looking in here, a bit too bright. Control that with your output levels down here. We're going to lower the contrast a bit, just kind of fade things up. Pull the black up a little bit, pull the white in a little bit. We're just trying to dull the colors out just a bit. And by making this a little bit duller, it looks a little bit more realistic. And you can go as wild as you want, that's fine. And pull your blacks up just a touch, like that. And so kind of working around with these things, bring them in just a little bit on the input and the output levels. That'll give you a nice natural looking coloration for that. And then of course move the gray tone near the middle point to the left. Move it towards the blacks. That will lighten up your shadow sides a bit and make it look far more realistic that way. So there you go. There's your green car. Now for any of the colors in here, it's simply a matter of just copying this layer and then doing the same thing again. Just change your colors. I still wanted to change this color to something else. Just go back up to Enhance and back to Adjust Color, back to Hue Saturation, and you can then change your color right here to anything else that you want. Let's make kind of a nice medium light blue. Maybe a little more color in there. There we go. See, there's kind of nice, I think. A nice blue tone. And choose OK. Now when you change your color, you may want to double check your levels. To do that, just double click on Levels. Here you go, and then just check your settings. That looks okay. That's pretty good right there. That's all right. I'm just kind of rocking these back and forth a little bit and seeing the effect, and then stopping where I like it visually. Okay, there we go. We made that green car into a medium blue car. So that's it. 2 different ways of colorizing a black car. Again, if you're going for your darker tones, let me just hide this stuff in here. So there we go for the darker tones, doing just the hue saturation on an adjustment level right onto the picture. For brighter colors, I recommend going with this technique here, where you actually colorize the layer, make a copy of it, colorize that layer, and then use your levels control to adjust the values. If you want to have some fun with this, you can come back in and play around with your different blending modes in here, actually blend this layer in with your car image below. That'll change the whole effect. You just see that real fast. I'm just going to go down a few of these. There's dissolve, there's darken, there's multiply, there's color burn. See how the effect is totally different depending upon which one of these blending modes you use. Some of them won't work out very well. Some will work out very, very nicely. Lighten's kind of nice. It gives us some of our coloration back in here, which I like the difference in colors in there. So lighten works out very nicely on this one. Screen, real light. This actually is good if you're going for a silvery or a gold metallic look using the screen blending mode. Make this kind of a goldy color, and then screen gives you real kind of metallic gold effect. Then you get some weird stuff in here as well. Color dodge, linear dodge, lighter color. Overlays kind of a strong effect. Here's our soft light again. Hard light, vivid light's kind of interesting. There we go, vivid light. So you have all these different effects you can use with your blending modes once you have chosen your color to just blend that in with your uncolorized background image. Okay, on this one I think lighten works out pretty well. That looks very, very natural. I like the lighten one. Soft light looks good, but again that's a darker effect with a soft light. Overlays a bit more dramatic effect. I think on this one I would probably come to use the lighten quality if I was doing anything in here with the blending modes. The lighten is kind of nice. Looks realistic. It's not quite as bright as our bright color, but it looks very realistic, and it gives us those color variations in here, which I like the effect of that. Looks a little bit more realistic that way, which you don't have that color variation when this is just a normal layer. The color looks good, but the color variation is missing, and that adds a little bit of a nice effect. So let's take a look at that lighten again. There we go. Just a little bit lighter, not much. We get the coloration in there. So there we go. That's the technique to colorizing a black car. And the real trick, as you saw at the very beginning, was to take your time and make a very careful layer mask of that using careful selection tool to make a real careful layer mask. Once that's done, then it's simply a matter of using your hue saturation controls and your levels to adjust that. 2 versions. The hue saturation right on the image itself is good for darker colors, and then blend that one into the background image. Second version is to actually colorize the whole layer and then use levels control to adjust the colorization. And then if you want to, you can use a blending mode, in this case lighten, on that back in your background color as well. So there you go. That's how to add color to or colorize a black car. Thank you for watching this special Photoshop photography project video. Don't forget to subscribe so that you will get first notice of new project videos in the future. Just click on this link right here where it says subscribe here. You can get all 12 project videos in this series along with 26 special videos demonstrating the tools and techniques that I used in these projects by clicking on this link right down here. And then thank you again for watching this